I think it's up to you to think about it. I'm not going to answer it now. Do you know any other poem like this? Maybe not in English, but in Spanish. How about Violeta Barra? How about Mistral? How about Neruda? Remember, we are a country of poets, they say, and I think they're right. What is poetry made of? We've talked about. Do you know anything about the author? Now, I did not put this question in the first place because I think biographical information sometimes does not allow you the freedom to interpret the poem. Because if you know what Langston Hughes's life was like, you wouldn't be as free as to what the poem really says. The poem is enough in itself. It's a body in itself, okay? And did you like it? Why or why not? Did you? You liked it. And can you tell me why? Yes, maybe it is because it is written in simple language, and maybe because it is about the oppression of some people and the desire for freedom, right? Well, I like it because of that, and many more reasons. When you're reading poetry, I suggest to read the poem aloud and then discuss. And the good thing is that when we are together and we're reading a poem together, your discussion is enriched by the comments that each one of you makes, all right? So, for example, the teacher reads the poem with enthusiasm, because if you read the poem in a monotonous way, you're going to put the students to sleep, right? You're going to go to sleep. Students should read the poem in silence so as to get that intimacy that poetry demands from you. Students can ask questions about vocabulary that is new. That is very important because each word is there for some reason. It's like if you have a house and you cut the roof, it's no longer a house. And in a poem, if you take a word out of it, or you change it, or you move it, it's not going to have the rhythm, it's not going to have the music. Maybe you'll destroy the image, maybe you'll destroy a metaphor, a simile, all language that is figurative but very necessary, okay? Students can memorize the poem, and that is something that is very controversial. They say, why memorize poetry? Well, I think memorization is what we naturally do when we're very young as children, when we learn nursery rhymes, and we like it. It puts us to sleep, it relaxes us, but it also makes us think. You have to think why this word is before the other one, and so on. So I suggest memorization is very good. Also, if you're studying a foreign language, with memorization, you can improve the fluency. First, you listen to it. Ideally, you listen to the poet reading the poem itself. But if you're not there, if he's not there or she's not there, you just have to listen to the recording. And then the most important thing when we are in a group is the discussion about what you think and feel after you have grasped the poem. And that takes a long process. Poetry is not something that you can read once and you get the meaning, like a short story that is very simple, or easy fiction, like some fiction that is today market fiction, really. You can't do that with poetry, okay? You have to give yourself, allow yourself time. What's he doing there? Ha! Well, yes, it is Barack Obama, and he's the president-elect of the USA. But this photograph was taken in July 2004 by artist Malcolm Gladwell, US writer and photographer. Why do you think I put it there? What does this have to do with poetry? Well, first of all, you have two art forms. This is an artistic photograph. Photograph is also one that captures images, like the poem. But it also tells you something about Afro-American people in the United States. This is the first president of the United States who is Afro-American, just like Langston Hughes. Barack Obama could very well say, I too am America. And I think he said it, all right? So that's why. Any other suggestion? Any other question about the photograph? Does it look artistic, or does it look like a passport photograph, for example? Well, it's up to you to decide, yeah? What's the relationship between Hughes's poem and Obama's photograph? How does the photograph reflect the historical context which Hughes anticipated in his poem? Because he said he wasn't going to eat in the kitchen anymore. He was going to be in the family room. He was going to be in the power system. And, well, if you don't know the historical context, I think it is important for teachers to introduce students after they see the poem, after they read the poem, after they see the photograph, not before the historical context. Why not before? Because again, you can bias people. And I think it's important for people to find for themselves. So you can go to the internet and look for Afro-American history and see the emancipation, especially the 60s, because that's where Obama comes from, right? What do you know about the emancipation movement of Afro-Americans in the US? There's tons of internet sites that you can look up. Or maybe your teacher can give you reference books that you can look up, etc. Do you know any other leaders that were outstanding in the history of Afro-Americans? I think the one that comes to mind immediately is, can you tell? Martin Luther King. And if you are a little bit more, as we say in Spanish, pasado pa la punta, you would say Malcolm X. Right. Good. The end. Let's continue. Does poetry matter then? Does it matter? You might say, this is just a waste of time. Poetry? Why poetry? But you'd be surprised. As I said, Chile is a country of poets, and many other countries are countries of poets too. The United States is a country of poets, of great poets. Ireland is a country of great poets. Argentina is a country of great poets. And I could go on and on and on. But why does it matter? In a society that is so materialistic, can poetry matter? What possible relevance can it have in a contemporary society which is based on consumerism, on individualism, on lack of spirituality, which I think we all miss, at least my generation misses, lack of values that are important to us, like freedom, justice, social justice, right? So, does it matter today?